There are places in America where silence feels heavier than sound. Places where the wind moves through broken windows as if it is searching for voices that never returned. Where doors hang open, but no one enters. Where streets still exist, but no footsteps follow them. Where time did not continue forward, it simply stopped. What if the ground beneath your feet still remembers the people who once stood there? Across the United States, hundreds of towns were built with urgency, ambition, and unwavering belief in the future. They were not meant to be temporary. They were not built to fade. They were meant to grow, to prosper, and to become permanent parts of the American story. And yet today, many of them stand abandoned. Their buildings crumble, their paint peels, their streets are empty, their stories unfinished. These are not just ruins, they are messages, silent signals left behind by history, waiting for someone to notice them and understand why they exist. To explore America's ghost towns is not simply to look at abandoned places. It is to examine the forces that build civilizations and the equally powerful forces that dismantle them. In this journey, we are decoding silence itself. To understand why so many towns vanished, we must begin in the age of explosive growth, when opportunity shaped the nation faster than caution ever could. In the mid-19th century, America was driven by one idea above all others: opportunity. Gold shimmered in riverbeds, silver hid beneath mountains, coal-fueled factories, railroads carved paths through wilderness. Oil transformed landscapes almost overnight. Wherever opportunity appeared, people followed, sometimes by the hundreds, sometimes by the thousands. A single discovery could turn empty land into a thriving town in a matter of weeks. Prospectors arrived with tools and hope. Merchants followed with supplies. Families arrived believing they had found the place where their future would finally take root. Homes were built quickly. Streets were laid out. Schools opened. Churches rang bells. Newspapers printed daily optimism. Saloons filled. Music drifted through open windows late into the night. Boomtowns rose with breathtaking speed, but boomtowns are built on fragile foundations. Take the gold rush towns of the American West. One of the most famous is Bodie, California. At its peak in the late 1800s, Bodie was home to nearly 10,000 people. It had dozens of saloons, gambling halls, hotels, and businesses. There were schools filled with children and churches filled on Sundays. The town had electricity before many major cities. Money flowed quickly, and so did violence. Life in Bodie was intense. Fortunes were made and lost overnight. Crime was common. Death was frequent. Yet people stayed because opportunity outweighed risk, until it didn't. When the gold veins thinned, mining became harder and more expensive. Profits dropped. Workers left in search of the next strike. Merchants closed their doors. Families packed what they could and moved on. The town did not collapse in a single dramatic moment. It emptied slowly. One house abandoned, then another, then entire blocks. Silence replaced noise. Today, Bodie remains eerily preserved. Furniture still sits where it was last used. Plates remain on tables. Bottles line shelves. Even playing cards still rest mid-game. The town did not die violently. It simply ran out of purpose. This pattern repeated itself across the nation. Silver towns in Nevada, coal towns in Appalachia, oil towns in Texas. Each rose quickly, burned brightly, and faded when the economic force that created them disappeared. But economics alone does not explain every ghost town. Some were claimed by something far more powerful: nature. In places like the Salton Sea in California, entire communities were erased not by war or financial collapse, but by environmental miscalculation. The Salton Sea was never meant to exist. In 1905, floodwaters from the Colorado River breached irrigation canals and poured into the Salton Basin. What should have been a disaster was instead embraced as a miracle. Water brought life. Fish thrived. Birds arrived. Developers imagined a desert paradise. Resorts were built. Marinas filled with boats. Palm trees lined the shore. People believed they had created an oasis. But nature does not forget balance. As the years passed, the lake evaporated faster than it was replenished. Salt levels rose. Fish began to die by the millions. the air filled with the smell of decay. Toxic algae blooms released dangerous chemicals. Birds fell from the sky mid-flight. Beaches turned white, not with sand, but with fish bones. Residents tried to adapt. They tried to endure. Then they tried to escape. Entire towns emptied. Today, places like Bombay Beach remain, surreal, decaying, and unsettling. Homes still stand. Cars still rust in driveways. Murals fade under the sun. But the environment itself feels hostile. Nature reclaimed what humans misunderstood. Other ghost towns vanished not because of economics or nature, but because of decisions made far away. Decisions signed in offices, announced without warning, and enforced without mercy. Government orders, political shifts, national priorities. During wars and periods of industrial expansion, entire communities were uprooted almost overnight. Families were told to leave their homes with little warning. Businesses closed mid-operation. Schools emptied. Neighborhoods vanished. Some towns were relocated to make way for reservoirs and dams. Others were erased to create military testing grounds. Entire histories were displaced in the name of progress. In other cases, epidemics swept through isolated communities. Mining towns and industrial camps were especially vulnerable. Crowded living conditions, poor sanitation, and limited medical care allowed disease to spread quickly. Fear traveled faster than illness. People fled to survive and never returned. What remains in these places are fragments of human life. A child's shoe near a doorway, a ledger left open on a desk, handwritten notes never finished, photographs still hanging on walls. Ghost towns are not empty. They are unfinished. They speak of ambition and desperation, of hope and risk, of resilience and fragility. They remind us that civilizations are not permanent, that prosperity is temporary, and that history does not always end with explosions or wars. Sometimes history ends quietly. A train that never arrives, a business that never reopens, a town that simply stops. Today, people return to these places not to rebuild, but to listen. Historians walk carefully through abandoned streets. Photographers capture light falling through broken windows. Explorers document what remains before time erases it completely. Many describe the same sensation, a feeling of being watched, not by ghosts, but by memory. Ghost towns fascinate us because they are mirrors. They show us who we were, what we valued, and how quickly everything can change. They are time capsules without lids, still whispering stories to anyone willing to slow down and listen. They raise uncomfortable questions. If this happened once, could it happen again? What towns today are built on fragile promises? What communities depend on forces beyond their control? In an age of rapid growth and technological optimism, ghost towns serve as warnings. Growth without balance collapses. Dependence without foresight fails. Communities built too quickly can disappear just as fast. History does not scream its lessons. It leaves them behind quietly, in places where no one is listening until now. When you walk through a ghost town, you are not just visiting the past. You are stepping into a moment when people believed the future was guaranteed, when permanence felt possible, when certainty was quietly proven wrong. The silence is not empty. It is full of stories. Stories of hope, stories of ambition, stories of loss, stories that refuse to disappear. If you listen carefully, you can still hear them. And if you want to explore more forgotten places, untold histories, and echoes left behind by time, welcome to Echoed Tales. Because some stories were never meant to be forgotten. They were only meant to wait.